Alright, everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is an explanation of my interpretation of how the fleet carriers are working in the current beta of Fleet Elite Dangerous. I purchased the carrier last night just to get it running and then did a little bit of math on it and stuff like that, and this is me doing an in-flight demo of how it will function. This is largely for the Raptors themselves, but if anyone else finds this knowledge useful, hey, I'm glad I brought it to more people than just who I expected. In either case, we're going to review what I have found about the carriers, my intentions of what our unit is going to do with them, and a quick demo of how they operate. First off, once you have purchased the carrier, it stations in the system that you bought it from. At that point, you then have to move it to wherever you want it to go. I have it docked now in our home system of Saffron. To find the carrier and get to it, you will find it like any other location. Ours is the INV Sudeten Lima 49 Golf 5 Hotel. It'll appear in the system. Music is way too loud. Hold on. Anyway, inside the system you will find it listed like any other place. It has this symbol, which is the symbol for a fleet carrier. Right now in the beta there's about 800 of them just floating around. Most of them are in the same systems that you buy them from, because people just buy them, check it out, and then abandon it. But we are going to go check it out. I brought it home to our home system. You will see the owner is myself and the squadron they're affiliated to. Lock, and off we go. As of now, the purchase cost of the carriers is still 5 billion credits. The beta, as far as I understand, that's running for the next week and a half or so. The last 2 days, I think they're reducing the cost of the carrier all the way down to just $1 million. Oh, you're fucking kidding me. Of course this happens on a demo that I'm trying to record. Go away. Fuckhole. Anyway, back on course. This is what I get for stalling too long. Traveling to the Sudeten. As a rundown, the Raptors are intending to buy at least 3 carriers. We're going to have the Sudeten, which is our flagship. We're also going to have one each for both our merchant fleet and our Exodus fleet, our combat ships. The merchant fleet carrier is going to be operating as our mobile staging point whenever we're doing mining operations, or during unit events, or if we're helping besiege space stations when the Thargoids come back. The Exodus, our combat team, is going to be using it as largely just a bus to get our warships in place, so they don't have to bring on FSD boosters. They can downgrade warp drivers and stuff like that. They don't have to carry fuel scoops. They can just get straight to the theater. This is our carrier, the Sudeten.
Welcome, Commander. Docking permission will be granted following a successful eligibility check.
Request docking like you do with any other.
Docking request accepted. Proceed to your designated pad, Commander.
The carriers carry 8 large pads, 4 mediums, and 4 smalls, so they can operate quite a bit. I've noticed a good deal of civilian traffic around it, which is always handy. I don't know yet if civilian traffic counts towards any profits that the carrier picks up. I imagine that it prevents money going into the civilian factions inside the system. I imagine that it goes to the carrier and not them. We're going to dock onside the carrier, and we're going to see how it works. A nice new thing you can see right now in the UI, You don't have to go to carrier services to buy fuel, repairs, or ammunition. You can just do it right here on the tab. As of now, I don't have any of these services on the carrier, so that's not an option. But there is also straight up go to hangar and then go back to surface, so you don't have to go into the services page. A tiny boost, but hey, I fully agree with it. It's a great idea. Inside the carrier services tab, I currently installed a shipyard. This will normally be grayed out when you first buy it. It's the only module that I've bought on this thing. A shipyard allows you to store and transfer ships to and from the carrier, otherwise you can't lock anything inside it. The carrier management screen is where you do all of this stuff. It has a limited capacity of 25,000 units, whatever it decides that unit of measurement is. I purchased the shipyard and the outfitting, which took up some of the module space on the carrier. I intend to use this carrier as a supply point. Our home station of Cresswell has a very limited selection of ships and spare parts. I want the Sudeten to supply all of that to our unit at cost, and then any other outsiders that trade on it I'll increase the tax that it collects. But we're going to be selling it to our own people at cost, so we don't have to give money to anybody else. We can be fully self-sufficient. You can install universal cartographics, a redemption office for turning in combat vouchers, the refuel, repair, and the armory services that aren't normally here, which is why they're grayed out on the UI. I haven't installed them. To install further modules, you have to have the carrier in a system that you can purchase the carriers from. So I can't do it here, I have to fly it back. So we're going to start by moving it. To the navigation tab, you can open the galaxy map, and from here you can chart a distance for it. I bought it from the system of Agartha, which is not very far away, so we're going to travel it back that way. Just like plotting your own jump, there's a set carrier destination, and the carrier will then start a 15-minute countdown. It'll take it 15 minutes to prime up and then jump out. Of my last remembrance, the carrier can jump up to 500 light years in a single jump, and it can jump 2,000 light years on a full tank of fuel. When you buy it, it comes with half a tank. It gives you 50% on fuel. Where is carrier services? The carrier uses tritium, which is a new resource. This is its fuel depot. So you can't just buy fuel for the thing, you have to deposit tritium. I believe this is mined out and you can't purchase it from stations, but this is my own understanding as of the second day of the beta. So, don't take my word for that yet. You can donate tritium. If you are not the station owner, you can just donate it, as you can do with the money on it as well. It has outfitting, livery, remote workshop, advanced maintenance. It has all of these things, even though I haven't added anything to it. You can do remote workshops from it. Secure trading if you want a black market. I won't be installing a black market on mine, but that's up to the user. Let's go back to what we were working on. There is a livery option, which right now doesn't have any options on it other than changing the name. So I would imagine there's going to be customizations for appearances and like aftermarket parts that you can install, but right now there's nothing there because no one has any arcs because we're on the beta account anyway. So it'll be neat to see what kind of paint jobs and stuff you can put on it. Budgeting. The carrier has an upkeep cost every week. You'll see in the top right is currently 10,731,781. This will go up based on how much stuff you have on it, what it's doing. When I first bought it, I think the baseline operation cost was 5.8 mil a week. And if you buy absolutely everything it can have, I've read that it's like 26 million, but I don't know that for sure. To put money on it, there's a deposit and withdraw. You can pull money from the bank account or deposit to it. I'd first deposited 700 million to it. I came onto the beta with 5.8 bill. The beta takes a snapshot of your account that was recorded a couple weeks ago. Right now my actual funds in game is about 6.25. So I have a bit more that wasn't transferred over. You have to deposit the money, which you can't type out the amount, which is kind of stupid. You have to hold the plus and just manually wait until it adds up. Or you can transfer every penny you've got and then work backwards from there. A little silly. People who have like 20 billion in the bank and want to deposit half of that, that's got to be really annoying. I think anyone can donate money to the carrier. Any visitors can deposit money if they want to. Obviously, only the carrier owner can withdraw money. And you can charge a tariff from here. Anything that the carrier does, you can charge a tax so that you can put up your own markup on anything. From 0 at cost to double the price if you want to be, a Scrooge. But good luck getting any business. Again, I'm going to be trying to operate as small of a tariff as possible. If I can get away with 0 for our own squadron users, I will. And I'd set it to like maybe 5 to 10% markup for anyone else who wants to visit it. I'm not planning on making money with these things. That's what our merchant carrier is for. I plan on that being a money maker. That's going to have trading. It's going to have its own shipyards and stuff like that. I don't know yet if you can defer it between other people and squadron members. I don't know yet. I'm going to have to keep playing with the functionality of that. The modules are very, very expensive. Buying the refueling station costs 40 million. Repairing teams is 50 million. Armory is 95 million. The redemption office is 150 million. The shipyard, I believe, was 90 million, and the outfitting was 125. The black market is 165, and the universal cartographics is 150 million. So just buying the carrier and then outfitting it with all the possible facilities is already a great deal of money. I did the math of buying everything except the black market and most of the stock that I wanted to put on it, all the initial ships and parts. Came out to about 14.5 billion for the full price of buying everything you could possibly buy, minus the things I specifically did not want to have. If you want to buy everything possible, I'm sure someone's already done that math. I've stripped out, I would guess, about 2 billion in additional stuff that I didn't take. So the estimate of buying the carrier from absolutely nothing to everything you could possibly do, I would put at about 17 to 18 billion, which is a fuck ton of money. But you can't do everything with it anyway. As of what I've already installed, it has a capacity of 4750 out of 25,000 units. So you can't buy everything there is to do anyway. You do have to have some kind of discretion with it. I'm going to be buying stocks of ships that we normally use. Things that people are frequently just buy and then get rid of. Like cheap exploration vessels, cheap traders. I don't think I'm going to buy any of the warships, because if anyone wants to buy those, once you have it, you have to put a lot of time into it, you got to do a lot of engineering. That's better off for our guys to just go to Shinrata Desra, make use of the discount and everything that's there. But I'm going to put on the cheap things that people tend to buy and then, sell off when they're done using it. Once we've jumped, I'll show off how the modules are purchased. So I'm going to put a split in the recording right here, and I'm going to pick the recording back up once the countdown hits approximately 4 minutes. Alright, we are at about 3.5 minutes left on the countdown. I'm picking the recording back up. I'm going to show how the jump sequence works on the carrier, because I think it's actually very cool. This game has its problems, but It's very, very good at the immersion level, and I find the takeoff sequence of the carrier to be pretty kick-ass. It's very cool. As a friendly reminder, once you bought the thing, whatever you want to do to kit the thing out, you have to do in the station you bought it from. If you're like me, you're like, oh yeah, let's take this where I want it to go. And then you take it over there and you're like, oh, I can't buy anything. Well, wonderful. I guess I'll drive it back. So we are 5 seconds from the kickoff phase. Once you hit 3 minutes out, it abandons any business and it won't let anyone else land. Carrier services suspended. Right now, no one else can do anything. It won't allow anyone to land.
Attention. Carrier has entered pre-flight lockdown. All services...
And it's going to auto-dock anyone who's out on the surface. I think this is really cool. As it gets closer, you'll start hearing the alarms going off, you'll hear the warnings, you'll start hearing the jump drives charging. It's pretty neat.
Landing as retracted. Hangar base secure.
Turn the music down a bit so you can hear everything going on around. As mentioned, we are inside the hangar. You can't leave, you can't even send the camera outside. So right now the ship is on total lockdown. If anyone else wanted to catch a ride on it once that 3-minute point hits, no one else can land on it or depart from it. I don't know if you can abandon the jump sequence once it's actually kicked off. Nope. Once you hit the 3-minute, you are at the point of no return where it's going to go. You can't abandon it after that point. It does tell you how much fuel you're going to use up and how much you'll have left. We have a minute to jump point.
Attention all ships. Hyperspace travel is imminent. Please maintain a safe distance from the carrier.
Anyone outside the carrier, I haven't seen what happens yet. I'm going to have to go back and look at it, but they probably just start telling you to go away. Ooh, that's a cool idea. I wonder if it does the really cool, like, wormhole, like the destroyers do when they arrive during the high-class conflict zones. I'll have to check it out when I'm outside sometime. 30 seconds, powering the FSD.
Attention all carrier crew. Right ship drive engaged. Attention. Counting down to jump. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we're off. Carrier is now traveling through hyperspace to Agartha. And of course, you get to stare at commercials the whole time up at the top left, because why not? On our way out. And we are now in the Agartha system. We're going to go back topside. Buckyball Racing Club. I want to do that sometime. Hey, we're out by some rings. We are now in the Agartha system. This is one of the purchase points of all the carriers, and you'll see that there are dozens and dozens of them. People buying them and just, checking it out for 5 minutes and then leaving. In this system, Enoch Port is where they have a vendor where you can buy them. A system has to have one of these vendors to buy the carriers and the modules and services for them. Like, look at all this stuff. This is people just buying them and then leaving them here. Anyway, we're going to go through an explanation of the different modules and how they work. Once you're in a system that has the vendors, you can then buy additional modules and services. Reminder that initially it does not have the shipyard and outfitting. I bought these to start seeing how much money it would take to fully outfit the thing. To buy stock for both ships and parts, which is what I want mine to do. The stocks are broken up by categories. You have Cargo Advanced, which is Type 6, 7, and 9s. Cargo Basics is adders and haulers. Combat Advanced, FDLs and Mambas. Combat Basics is Eagles and Vultures. And it tells you how much to buy that kit and how many of each you'll get. And it will tell you how much capacity you're chewing up, and you only have 25,000 units of capacity on the carrier. So you do have to, be mindful of what you're going to buy. The multi-role advanced, I think, is going to be one of the ones that I buy. Maybe, maybe not. I'm still considering it. But I would be buying the Explorers and the Cargo Advanced. I mostly want to provide ship parts, which again is broken up into categories, but now there are multiple tiers. The tiers are broken up by physical size and number of units depending on the category. So outfitting for cargo racks, tier 1 is 1, 2s, and 3s, 2s is 4, 5, and 6, and 3s is 7s and 8s. And they're each going to have their own purchase cost and how much capacity it's going to chew up. For the oddball things like external points, for countermeasures as an example, the higher tiers only provide more of the counts of each thing rather than providing additional benefits. So only buy what you need. There's no way you can possibly store all of it. And if you're buying all 3 of these, you're buying basically 125 point defense system, or 175 PDs, 175 ECMs. Like, no one's gonna buy all that. Weapons are broken up in the first way. They're broken up by physical size. So the tier 1 only provides small and medium hard points. Tier 2 provides the large hard points, and tier 3 is the only one that includes the huge hard point sizes. Buying all the weapons obviously requires a tremendous amount of money. The strangest thing that I found, this one I was actually screaming about last night to some of the guys online, is the fuel management, which is fuel tanks and fuel scoops. This costs an enormous amount of money. Like, look at this, tier 3. Buying all the fuel scoops and 7 or 5 class 7 fuel tanks is almost $2 billion. Like, why? Why does a thing to hold gas cost so much goddamn money? I don't get it. So I'm not buying this. This is ridiculous. I might buy the tier 2. If anyone wants to buy, a random class 7 fuel tank, they can go buy it somewhere else. The most expensive stuff, other than the ridiculous fuel tanks, is the power supplies, engines, and all of the weapons, because the weapons are broken up by kinetic, energy, and explosive, so all of those together adds up to quite a lot of money. The vehicle bays is like the first group where you're only buying larger sizes, and the targeting systems is like the second type where you're just buying more of the same kind. Some of these are kind of finicky, like you'll notice tier 1 provides 90 manifests, 90 FSD interceptors or interdictors, and then going up we're getting less of them. but the cost is going up. So I think these are backwards. I'm sure somebody's already laughed at Frontier for this. Like, you guys are so incompetent, literally unplayable. It's just a beta, y'all. Calm down. People have been screaming on the Reddit about the carriers since they started coming out. Because you can't make people happy. It's just the way it is. There were some significant complaints, like the Explorers. These things were a liability because they didn't have cartographics, which I agree was a really stupid idea. Why would you not have cartographics on this thing? But now they do, and they've significantly reduced the upkeep costs of the carriers. They used to be like a ridiculous amount of weekly upkeep at the base, and then it would go up based on how much you were doing with it. But they've come down quite a lot. You can hire and fire the people who run the different services, though nothing actually changes. Just a different portrait and a name. Wow, that is a greaser right there. I'm keeping that dude. This dude looks like an accountant. This chick looks like she's probably stealing most of the money. The commodity, the market for what you want to buy and sell on the carrier is something I still need to play with to understand. You have to manually set every single one of these. Like, if I wanted to do minerals on my carrier, I'd have to individually check every single one of these. And then you would set the buy and sell value of how much you want to buy it or how much you would sell it. And then you would set how much stock you want to maintain of it, which the carrier would then buy and then start vending, and you would have to pay for that out of the carrier balance. This is very, very monotonous to set all this up. There's a fuck ton of math to do all of this. This is way beyond me. I'm not a space trucker. I've got a bunch of space truckers in the unit. I'm very thankful that they love doing this stuff because I do not. That is not me. They can figure all this out. But to me, it looks really, really clunky. And I don't know why there isn't just a checkbox right here on minerals. Just activate all. And then set prices. You have to do this for each individual one. Whatever. Someone else can figure all that out. I can't think of anything else that I wanted to do. The last is the settings. You can restrict who's allowed to use it to your squadron or friends. You can make it personal, that no one's allowed to use it but you, and it will reject any docking requests. I think if you set it to personal, it'll still show up. People can still find it, but they can't dock on it. I don't honestly know that. You can prevent people from landing on it that have notoriety. And you can set what kind of business you want it to run, and this will show up in the navigation tab when you target it. It'll tell it what kind of market it is. I have mine set to trader for now. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you set it to. It will not do anything other than the very basic readout when somebody targets it on the navigation panel. And finally, you can decommission the thing. If you do that, it will warn you, are you absolutely sure you want to do this? And then it will tick down several days to do it. How much money you get back is dependent on how long you've had it. So the longer you've had it, the less money you get back. But you still get your money back partially. One of the things people had an outcry of is that if you didn't pay for it because it has a weekly upkeep cost, if you went so far into debt for not paying for it, it would automatically decommission, and I think it wouldn't give you any money back because it was basically just repoed, because the bank will laugh at you and take all your money and run away. I think that's different. I think it will go through the decommission process involuntarily, and it will just give you back whatever it is that the decommission would normally give you, probably minus whatever you owe in the fees. This requires more reading. I can't directly answer that. I don't honestly know. I don't intend to not pay for mine. I intend to play this game for a while yet. And I have a use for mine and the other two that we're going to buy, so I'm not planning on deconning it anytime soon. But anyway, that is a quick rundown for my team and anyone else who find this useful of the current state of the beta for the carriers. Hopefully this was mildly entertaining or at least useful to you in any way. This is V-Time, and I am signing out.